Cleetus McFarland just got one of the most important reality checks of his NASCAR journey, and it came from someone who knows exactly what it takes to become a serious stock car driver. Kevin Harvick has now explained what he believes Cleetus is missing, and after what happened at Berlin Raceway, his words suddenly make a lot more sense. Because Cleetus is not short on confidence, attention, equipment, or opportunities. What he is short on is something money cannot instantly buy: seat time. And Harvick believes that may be the biggest thing standing between Cleetus and the level of racing he wants to reach. So what exactly did Harvick say about Cleetus? Why does he believe late model racing could be the answer? And what did Berlin reveal about the massive experience gap Cleetus is trying to close? You need to watch this one all the way to the end, because once you put Harvick's comments together with what happened at Berlin, the situation becomes much clearer. Kevin Harvick recently gave his thoughts on Cleetus McFarland's latest racing plans while speaking with Will Buxton on Speed with Harvick and Buxton. Instead, Harvick explained why he believes the late model route could be exactly what Cleetus needs right now. Harvick got straight to the point. "Look, Cleetus needs seat time," Harvick said. "Cleetus has already shown flashes of speed, including his strong ARCA run at Talladega. But showing speed is different from developing the consistency and racecraft needed to compete against experienced stock car drivers." Harvick pointed out that many of the young drivers Cleetus is competing against are racing stock cars constantly. And you look at all the kids that he's competing against, and they're racing 40 to 50 times a year in a stock car. The difference is enormous. Cleetus is balancing racing with his business and content career, while many of the drivers around him have spent years racing stock cars almost every week. That repetition gives them experience Cleetus cannot replace with natural ability alone. And this is exactly why Harvick believes late model racing could be such a major step for him. "You can race that car all across the country," Harvick explained. "It's just a good car to learn in. You can go to a lot of different racetracks." Cleetus does not necessarily need to jump directly into the biggest NASCAR opportunity available every time he wants to improve, and he needs to experience different tracks so that he is not learning everything for the first time when the pressure is already high. Harvick also pointed out something that makes Cleetus's situation very different from most drivers. Cleetus owns a racetrack. That gives him an opportunity most developing racers would love. He can get valuable laps without always traveling across the country. As Harvick put it, he just needs laps, and I think this is a great step. He doesn't have to go far to practice his car. That may be the most interesting part of Harvick's entire assessment. Cleetus already has access to a facility where he can spend more time learning. The question is whether he can turn that opportunity into enough actual racing experience. And then came Berlin. Harvick knew Cleetus was heading to Berlin Raceway for his super late model debut, and he made it clear that this was not going to be an easy introduction. "He'll be in Berlin Wednesday night to run this," Harvick said. "So that won't be easy because that is a difficult racetrack against a pretty stout field." Harvick was absolutely right about the level of competition. The battle at Berlin was a $40,000 to win super late model event, and Cleetus was going up against drivers with far more experience in this type of car. Carson Hocevar was there, Ty Majeski was there, and several established short-track racers were there. Berlin itself is a demanding half-mile oval, and it is one of the major late model events on the track's calendar. Cleetus had to learn the car while competing against drivers who already understood the track, the tires, the traffic, and the rhythm of a long late model race. And once the race got going, we saw exactly why Harvick had emphasized seat time. Cleetus struggled to find the same consistency as the experienced drivers, and eventually the car got loose and he spun. The incident became one of the biggest talking points of his debut because it showed the difference between having the speed to drive a race car and having the experience to control that car consistently over a long green flag run. That does not mean Cleetus cannot learn it. It means he has to put in the work. The interesting part is that Cleetus did not simply walk away from the challenge. He is already scheduled to continue racing late models at Berlin, with his own event coming up on August 15th. That race is a 75-lap late model feature with $20,000 going to the winner. That could be more important than people realize because this is where Harvick's advice becomes practical. One race gives you information, but multiple races give you experience. If Cleetus can take what went wrong at Berlin, understand why the car got away from him, and then apply that lesson during his next late model outing, that is real progress. That is how drivers improve. Not by avoiding mistakes completely, but by making sure the same mistake does not keep happening. And there is another reason Harvick's comments matter. Cleetus has already learned that NASCAR does not simply reward popularity. He has millions of fans and enormous attention around every race he enters. But once the green flag drops, none of that gives him an advantage over someone who has spent years racing stock cars. That became obvious when NASCAR previously limited some of his opportunities because he needed more experience. Cleetus eventually made his O'Reilly Auto Parts Series debut with Richard Childress Racing at Rockingham, where he finished 32nd, 6 laps down after a late spin. He later completed all 125 laps at Michigan in the Truck Series and finished 25th on the lead lap, showing that he can make progress when he gets the chance to run an entire race. That contrast is important. Cleetus does not need one miracle performance to prove that he belongs. He needs dozens of ordinary racing days where he learns something, improves his consistency, and gradually closes the gap. And that is why Kevin Harvick's comments are not really an attack on Cleetus. They are almost the opposite. Harvick is basically saying that Cleetus has found a path that can help him. Look, Cleetus needs seat time. That is the message. The late model program gives him more races. Different tracks give him more situations. Owning a track gives him a place to practice. And if he takes advantage of all three, his NASCAR ambitions become much more realistic. But Berlin also proved something else. The learning curve is not going to be easy. Cleetus is trying to catch drivers who have been doing this since they were kids. So the question is no longer whether Cleetus can get behind the wheel. We already know he can. The real question is how quickly he can turn all those laps into consistency. Because if Harvick is right, the biggest thing Cleetus needs right now is not another massive opportunity. That is where the real progress is going to come from. Berlin may have exposed the problem, but it also gave Cleetus exactly what Kevin Harvick said he needed: more experience. Now he gets another chance to show whether he can actually learn from it. And if he can start turning those difficult races into clean, competitive finishes, this late model experiment could become one of the most important parts of his entire NASCAR journey. What do you think? Is Kevin Harvick right that seat time is Cleetus McFarland's biggest problem, or does Cleetus need to change something else before he can seriously compete with these drivers? Let us know in the comments. And if you want all the latest updates on Cleetus McFarland, NASCAR, and everything happening around the sport, make sure you subscribe to NASCAR Nation News. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.